A manometer tube is one of the most important components in low-pressure devices. It looks like a glass bulb, with a tube used for connection to the vacuum system and 3 electrodes soldered inside the bulb. The cathode usually made of the tungsten wire, and meshed with a positive potential with respect to the cathode, and thus serving as the anode, and an electrode that collects ions and has a negative potential with respect to the cathode. The electrons emitted by the headed cathode are exposed to the electric field and rushed towards the mesh, creating an electron current in the mesh circuit. If the mesh potential is higher than the residual gas ionization potential, when the electrons collide with the gas molecules, gas will be ionized inside the manometer tube. When exposed to the electric field of the electrode, the positive ions generated during the ionization process rush towards the electrode and, by giving their positive charge to it, create a so-called ion current inside the electrode. As a result, the negative electrode, which attracts the positive ions, is called an ion collector. Now let's get back to the circuit, which portrays the major elements of a manometer tube and of the measuring components of the gauge. The cathode circuit comprising a DC source and a rheostat. The cathode is usually located inside the mesh. The mesh circuit comprising a DC source and an electric instrument. The mesh serves as the anode, is usually made of tungsten wire as a spiral surrounding the cathode. The circuit of the ion collector, which comprises a DC source and an electric instrument. The collector is typically made of nickel and looks like a cylinder surrounding the cathode and the mesh. The manometer tubes LT2 glass and LT4M metal are used as sensors. The second sub-range is implemented by switching the heater to a greater heat and current, high temperature. The hot wire gauges based on the manometer tube are advantageous in that they can be used with respect to any gases and steams. They also offer the benefit of conducting uninterrupted observation of the pressure changes in the vacuum system and are very easy to make. The shortcomings, on the other hand, include dependence on readings upon the nature of gas as well as the presence of thermal inertia. As a result of the latter, when the pressure changes quickly, the thread of the resistance pressure gauge or the heat of the thermocouple vacuum gauge cannot always change their temperature to correspond to the value of calibration quickly enough, and the gauge might be a little late with its readings.